Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to DMR Tier 2 Round 1 here at Australia. Tonight, our racers will be taking it on Albert Park. Oh, goodness me, I've got the stream on in the background. That's a big no-no. We don't want to hear me twice. Once is more than enough. But here we go then. It looks like we've got a wet qualifying. Obviously, the spectator menu doesn't tell us whether the weather is going to stay like this for the rest of the race weekend here. But it's full wets for qualifying. At least that's what the game is suggesting for the drivers as they come out of the pits. It is already sounding like we've got one engine up and running. In the pit lane here, it looks like that's going to be a Red Bull, but which Red Bull is it? Is it Fur or is it Jim? There's a Ferrari. That's Zotax. Furion and Jum 3 are switching to the intermediate. So it was Fur who was first out of the garage here in the Red Bull, but he was beaten by Goldie up in the Williams here, who's already making his way out of Sector 1, progressing nicely on the outlap towards Sector 2. So we'll have to wait and see as to Furion's back on the wets. We'll have to wait and see which tyre compound is faster here this evening. Obviously, the game's suggesting the full wet, but that doesn't mean that that's necessarily the right tyre choice to go with. I'm sure most people have experienced the game's suggested strategy not being the fastest one. Looks like Fur here will take the first flying lap as we see Goldie let him pass there, but it'll be interesting to see how Jum does on those intermediates. It looks like he's being joined as well by David, Donut and Seabok as well. None of them on outlaps. As I say that, Donut in the McLaren there coming out of the pit lane, but it will be the Red Bull of Fur here starting his first flying lap of the session here. We'll ride on board with the Red Bull as he comes down the start finish straight. A fairly long run into turn 1. A little bit wide. He's missed the apex there, but he's managed to keep the lap valid. So not the best start, but it is in wet conditions. The game still relatively new. This may well be the first league race. We've got a yellow flag in Sector 3, but I think that's just people slowing down to give themselves a little bit of space before they start their flying laps. Very nice line on exit of the second sector. Is this practice or quality? This is qualifying, short qualifying, 18-minute session, full wets. Seem to be the fastest tyre at the moment. That's what the game's suggesting anyway. But this is indeed qualifying before the race. Again, a little bit of a missed apex there by Fur, but like I said, it is the wet conditions, so it's not like this is going to be the fastest time we see on these drivers. 58 seconds to get to where Fur is at the moment, coming into Sector 3 now. Turn 13, again a little bit away from the apex, but a nice exit from the corner. It gives him a good run into turn 14. Now into the final couple of corners. This one's difficult to get right in the dry, let alone the wet. And Fur's done a good job of navigating here. What is our first flying lap going to be? And there's an Alfa Romeo, it looks like, off in turn 1, and that's a 1:37.3. Definitely not the fastest time I think we'll see today, but it looks like it's Blanc, and he is off indeed there. And let's go to Jum on the intermediate compound tyres. He's in Sector 3, a little bit wide there, migrating host. Hopefully everything stays live. Motocrosser with a 135.6. That's the current pole now. 0.3 faster than Jim with a one, and that's Jum with a 136.3. So, oh sorry, it's a 135.6 at the top there. So the intermediate's not too poor in terms of pace at the moment, but Motocrosser at the top there, almost a second clear of anyone else. We've also got Babbo with a 137 dead. He's tied with Furion. Kimi on the Mercedes, a 136.5. That puts him third fastest. Let's have a look then. Why is this not changing? There we go. The new Mercedes livery has been added to the game, as you can see there, with the newest update. Goodness me, there we go. So, Seabok then in the McLaren, very wide out of turn 1. That's not going to be a fast lap. And that's the Ferrari of Adro there, completely messing it up. Out of turn 2, a big spin for him in qualifying there. But he has already set a 137.8, so he's ahead of a couple of rivals. We've already been on board with Seabok. We know he's heading off into turn 1. The Alfa Romeo of Rinrin though, here in to the final sector. He's opted for the full wets as well. Donut with a 136 dead. He's also on those intermediate tyres. So right now it's unclear which of the tyre compounds is the fastest at the moment. The track conditions are obviously on that breaking point between intermediates and full wets, with Motocrosser faster than the two guys on intermediates with the full wets, but those two guys, Donut and Jum, they are ahead of all the other drivers who have posted times with wets, as Rinrin goes 10th with a 137.2 here in qualifying. Only a few guys left to set lap times. Maybe they were expecting the rain to lessen and we're just waiting. They're all on the intermediate compound tyres. So Seabok, he has invalidated this lap, but he's saved up ERS. I imagine he's going to go for another try here. Moto coming out on the intermediate tyres. Well, he's at least switched to them. Donut hole 135.7. That's not pole, so I don't know why it's told me that, but there we are. So now, Seabok on his second attempt in the McLaren. He's got the intermediate tyres. He's made it much more successfully through the first couple of corners. No cutting the grass this time. Here we go then, down into turns 3 and 4. Keeping it very clean through here. His lap is still valid. Obviously a very important thing if you want to pick up a good time here. We've got a bit of support for Goldie in the chat. Welcome everyone who's watching at the moment. And that's Seabok here, or that's who we're watching now in the McLaren. He's on the intermediate tyres. Can he go faster? Currently the intermediate tyres dominating the top as Jum goes 135.4, so the track is drying out a little bit. Wet tyres are no longer the optimum, it would appear, as the top 4 now all on intermediates. We'll have a look at what Moto can do when he goes onto a flying lap, and that's too wide out of turn 12 for the McLaren of Seabok. He will invalidate again, and I can't imagine he's got fuel for another one, but he hasn't got the fuel warning light, so maybe he is carrying more fuel for another round. But we will go on board with Goldie in the Williams, as Toby in the chat seems to be a fan. He's on the intermediates as well, yet to set a lap time. He's in for what could be a good lap time here around Albert Park here in Australia. The Williams then through the tricky 11-12. Not really a chicane, but a couple of corners. They are probably where we're going to see a lot of thrills and spills if things go as they usually do around Albert Park. But here we are, still valid through turn 13. Goldie now. Turn 14, just a couple of turns to go, and he goes wide through turn 14. He's kept it valid, but it's not going to be a good time for the Williams. A little bit sideways out of turn 15. Final corner then. And he's gone wide again, and that's invalid on the last corner. You hate to see that. He's got enough ERS for a second attempt, has Goldie, but we are going to go on board with Moto. He was pole on the wets. It appears that the Inters are faster. So let's see, can he put another pole time in? Currently, provisional pole is with Jum. He's on 1:35.4, pretty much a 1:35.5, but he's still 1.5 tenths clear of Motocross's current best time. But the Renault puts in the fastest first sector we've seen here all evening. So let's have a look. The number 31 Renault, then with the new, much darker livery for the F1 2020 season. A very nice looking car, in my personal opinion. But here we go. Another fastest sector for Motocrosser in the Renault. He's just got one more sector to go to defeat that 1:35.4 that has been set by Jum. Stream is dropping FPS a lot. Let's have a look. As Moto comes round towards the final corner. And he's going to set a 1:34.8. So what is that? 7 tenths faster, pretty much, than Jum. Let's hop on board with Kimi in that new dark liveried Mercedes. He's got a couple of corners to go. Here he comes around the final corner. He's also on the everyone pretty much on the intermediates bar further in the Red Bull, and that's a 1:34.8. He's 0.03 of a second quicker than Motocross's best time is Kimi in that Mercedes. That's not going to make the Renault driver happy at all. Let's go on board with Total Wizard and let's see. How bad is the stream? I don't know what could be wrong with it. This is my first time ever streaming on YouTube. Usually all my work is done via Twitch, so it could be a setting in OBS. As we're on board with the Haas of Total Wizard. He's currently sitting in 7th place with a 1:36.3. That's 1.5 seconds off provisional pole at the minute as we come to the 6-minute mark. 12 minutes gone, 6 remaining, 2/3 of the way through this qualifying session, and Total Wizard is 2.3 seconds down on his previous best time. Is anyone else having issues? It looks like the stream might be lagging a lot actually, so definitely worth me having a look. Seabok then finally setting a valid lap time. He's put in a 1:34.9. He's 4 lap old though, and he is finally running out of fuel. But there is Donut Hole currently in 5th. Seabok's teammate McLaren looking very strong. I think it's just because it's raining. Stream is good as a few chops, bit choppy at time. I think it's just because it's raining. And that's an invalidation for Donut. It's possible. It doesn't look choppy for me in terms of in-game, but I can see it on the stream. And that's Babbo with a 1:34.6, 2/10 clear of Kimi's best time. Now there is time for our drivers to do one more lap. As Rinrin with a 1:33.8, we're starting to see much faster times come out now. Zotac, he's invalidated his flying lap, so we'll go on board with Jum in that Alpha Tauri. We've seen him fighting at the top, but he's been knocked down a fair few places by the likes of Zotax and Seabok now. He's down into 7th. Can the Alpha Tauri, number 10, put it back on top? It's working well for me. Alright, well I'll leave it as is, because if I alt-tab it, it will go dark. I'll have a look at the OBS settings. A second, that's a fastest sector 2 for Jum there. 0.6 down on his previous best. That would put him in and around 2nd place, I do believe, on this leaderboard. If he can keep up this pace. Or am I reading that completely wrong? No, that is around right, I think. As he comes around turn 15 into the final corner. That's Blanc in the other Alfa Romeo. That's 3rd place for him at 1:34.7. But here comes Jum in the Alpha Tauri, and that does put him 2nd, or 1:34.1 there from the Alpha Tauri driver. A very impressive lap from him. I'm sure he'll be happy. Donat in the Racing Point, number 11. He's coming into the last couple of corners as Adro with a 1:33.7. He was having PC issues, but now he posts the fastest time only by 1/10 of a second, but he's done it nonetheless. As what on earth has happened there? He's gone for the pits to 5th, but there we are, very impressive from the Racing Point driver. Let's see, who else can we go on board with now? Got a lot of people in the pits, but Furion, he's invalidated his lap time. Let's go on board with Fur then. He's appears to be facing the wrong way on the mini-map, so that's an off for the Red Bull. Killer B not looking like he's had the best start to the session, but it's 2 minutes 45 to go. He's got plenty of ERS there. He is in hot lap mode. You can see with the number 2 on the right hand side of the screen. So he's cut the corner there, and that will be an invalidation for Killer B. So Goldie on an outlap. He's yet to set a time. We've also got Larson in the other Alpha Tauri. His teammates with Jum, who's currently up in 4th place. Adro in the Ferrari. He looks like he's on an in-lap though. Looks like most of these people are pretty much done with their qualifying for the time being. So Kimi, he's on an outlap, as is Motocrosser. He was sitting at the top for such a long time. Can he put in a good lap here? It looks like his outlap was a rather quick lap. Let's see whether this flying lap can do the same. He was 8/10 quicker, I believe, which would put him around 3rd or 4th position if he can replicate that, but he probably wasn't trying. And it looks like he's not trying here either. He's got no ERS deployed, apparently, which is an interesting strategy indeed. But there it is. There is the ERS. He's now in mode 2. He's 4/10 down, but he's not using ERS. A bit bemusing. That's Fur. He's off into the wall, it would seem. Where is his car? There it is on the left hand side. You can see that wheel just hanging off of the nose cone of the Red Bull there. So Motocrosser still 4/10 down on his previous best. That's not quite as good as we were maybe expecting it to be, but that would put him, I think, 5th place at the moment. So here we go. A number 31 Renault. Very nice out of turn 12. A little bit bumpy on the exit, but still, you could see the Alfa Romeo there. That's Rinrin. He's on an outlap, letting the Renault past. You love to see that kind of sportsmanship. So here we are into the last couple of corners for Motocrosser. Can he regain that P1 position, or is Adro's 133.7 too much for the Renault driver to come over as he crosses the line? It's not going to be pole. It is 2nd place for Motocrosser, a 133.8, 1/10 behind Adro, and only 0.03 of a second ahead of Rinrin in the Alfa Romeo. Speaking of Rinrin, we saw him let Motocrosser pass there. Can he go faster in the Alfa Romeo? Currently sitting in 3rd. That will be the 2nd row if he finishes here. Qualifying is coming to a close, so only those on flying laps are going to be able to set time, but most people are on those flying laps, so anyone could still really take pole if they really wanted to, but currently that position is Adro's and Adro's only. He's currently has Donat with a 133.6 in the Racing Point. That puts him 2nd, beating Motocrosser, and there's Donut with a 133.3 to put himself into 2nd place there. You can see people starting to retire now. Larson in the in the Alpha Tauri. He's not going to be setting a time as Rinrin invalidates his lap. He will not be setting another time here this evening. 7th will be his possible best. But here we go. Is Furion in the Haas, the new white and black livery for them this season. He's going to come across the line. It's looking pretty strong for him, and that's going to be a 133.6, and that puts him up into 7th place. And that's David with a 133.1, and Motocross has beaten his previous best. He's put Adro down another position. That's knocked Adro not only off of pole, but also off of the front row, as Adro will not be improving. He will not be holding on or regaining, should I say, that top spot. And now that is qualifying over, and it is David in the brand new black liveried Mercedes, who will be our pole sitter here at Albert Park for round 1 of season 3 of Delta Motor Racing Tier 2. As we just wait for everyone to either come back to the pits and retire, or the session to just count down. We've got a minute there, you can see at the top. And I have to say that these new liveried Mercedes are very, very nice. While we have a look at that, let me just take a quick look into the OBS settings. Apologies for the blank. Let's put it on performance. Let's try this. Hopefully this can fix the frame rate issue. So there we are. You can see David on the top spot. Motocrosser rounds out the front row. Adro knocked down to the second row. He is joined alongside with Donut. Zotax in the other Ferrari in 5th, even despite that spin he had out of turn 2. Kimi in the second Mercedes is in 6th. Donut 7th. Furion 8th. Babo 9th. And your top 10 is rounded out by Rinrin in the Alfa Romeo there. But now we move into the race for round 1 of DMR Tier 2. Fingers crossed everything can get underway smoothly. The old game, a little bit of trouble with people loading into lobbies, but this one not looking too bad. It's been working pretty well. We've got an Adam fan. I'm not quite sure what his username is in-game, but velocity there in the chat. Very hyped. Good to have all of you here. Welcome everyone to DMR and the Tier 2 stream. As we wait for the countdown clock. We've got 5 seconds until the session is underway. Fingers crossed we can get everyone loaded in smoothly. Like I said, there we go. It looks like everyone has made it to the grid as we get ready for the formation lap. The number 44 Mercedes, not driven by Lewis Hamilton, but instead David is our pole sitter. But it's not a car we're unfamiliar with seeing in that top spot. Then there's Motocrosser, Adro, Donut, Zotax, Kimi, Donut, Furion, Babo, Rinrin, Jum, Jim Wong, Total Wizard, Blank, Seabok, DMR, Killer B, Goldie, Furious, and Larson. That was the tyre graphic we just saw on stream there with the predicted race strategies. Now, you can go this race, or this track should I say, with a soft to medium 1 stop. It's very difficult. It's not advised by the game, but it is possible. I've seen it done. Obviously that doesn't factor in a safety car, so you can gamble on that strategy. Other strategies would be a soft to hard 1 stop or soft medium. So let's get these all enabled. Hide the spectator menu, and we are in fact ready for the start of this Grand Prix. So let's wait for them here. They're approaching the final sector. David obviously leading the charge. You can see everyone warming up their tyres now. Tyre degradation is now impacted by the formation lap. So we'll have to wait. Obviously now we are on the dry tyre. Let's see what everyone opted for. So you can see there, out of the top 10 we've got Jin, Blanc, Seabok and Larson on the mediums, and Total Wizard opting for the hard tyres. Obviously we didn't see what anyone qualified on because they were all on intermediates because of the rain. So there we go. Everyone loading onto the grid. We'll go back down a couple places. We'll watch Adro for the start. Here we go then. There are the lights. We can see them start to go. All 5 of them lit. As they go out here at Albert Park. And everyone off the start. It looks like the Racing Point of Donat had a very good start there. Motocrosser, a much better start. The timing tower actually a bit confused. It is David up into the lead. The timing tower is very, very wrong. We've got Motocrosser. And that looks like a huge crash behind. I can't tell who it's between though. Or maybe not. Everyone has made it through. My apologies, just very wide. Looks like there's a couple of ghost cars in the grid here. Can't tell who's who. But we can see Seabok here in 15th. And that's Furious pointing the wrong way in the Red Bull. And that's the Alfa Romeo of Blanc just DNF'd. And that's a VSC, not a full course safety car. But that's a VSC there that's been pulled out. So let's go back up to the front there. Where that's not who we've got at the front. We've got David in P1. Donut is up into 2nd. Motocrosser now down 1 into 3rd. Donat, he's gone well off the start. He is 3 positions up now in 4th place. Kimmy, David's teammate. Mercedes looking very strong off the start. He's up 1 place into 5th. Adro's had a terrible start. He is down from 3rd to 6th for the Ferrari. He's now being hunted by their sister team, Alfa Romeo. Rinrin there. He's up 3 places from the start and he's looking like he's not done yet. We've also got Furion in the Haas there. He's held 8th. Babo has held 9th there, as it looks like everyone very smooth out of these corners. But David is absolutely tearing away at the front there, setting a 133.9 as the opener to the race. So now we are starting to see the timing tower come back alive then, as we see Rinrin try to make his way through and get close enough to pass Adro in the Ferrari then. Let's have a look. Donat appears to be very close behind Motocrosser. Motocrosser, very strong performance in qualifying. There is your predicted pit strategy again with the AWS powered graphics. Like I said though, the soft to medium is possible dependent on how strong your tyre management skills are. We can see Seabok and Jim in the pit lane there. They've both come in, presumably for damage. Interesting enough, Furious with the spin. As we see Motocrosser, he looks like he's going to go for the move, potentially on the McLaren of Donut. He's looking around the outside into turn 11. He comes back behind him, and he holds on for now, does Donut, as they exit turn 12, but he's not finished yet. Motocrosser looks up the inside into turn 13, not going to make the move there, still in this train. I do believe we are not on strict and instead are on regular corner cutting, and as it looks like Donat now looking for a way past the Renault, who cuts across the track just enough to close that outside line. But this could be the switchback for Donat. He looks like he's got a better run out of the last turn there as we go on board with the Racing Point down into turn 1. He's not got the run he needs for the position on the Renault. As we go back to the side track, DRS has been enabled by race control, and these guys are so tight right now. As you see, the Mercedes of Kimi goes wide. That's Adro up the inside, but it looks like he's gone a little bit wide, and Kimi gets back past the Ferrari there. Meanwhile, Motocrosser still under a little bit of pressure from Donat. He's still also trying to get past the McLaren ahead of him. We're already 3 laps in to this race now, and you can just see the McLaren of Donut able to just sort of extend this gap to the car behind him now. You can see that gap really is starting to form. Meanwhile, Donat is holding on. He's still got... Well, he's got DRS. He hasn't still got it. He didn't have it before. And that's Adro up the inside of the Mercedes. He's looking to regain that position. Then he lost a little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact. They both keep it on the track. A very good bit of racing. And Adro up the inside. And it looks like he's held it into turn 15. A little bit of a lock-up on the front left there as they come into the final corner. Adro still ahead. And that's a yellow flag. Who is that? It looks like the Alfa... Oh my goodness, there's been a huge crash down at the back. That's the Racing Point of Donat. He's lost a wheel. There's the safety car. That's very, very expected. And it's Kimi down here who's suffered as well. So David still in the lead His lead is about to get diminished though, as we see the safety car come out. Let's get some tyre data. Who is on what? So, the front 11 all still on those softs, but Total Wizard has just come out the pits. He's on fresh hards. He benefited a lot from that. He could go to the end potentially on those tyres. Meanwhile, up at the front, David, you can see what a gargantuan lead he had. 5.5 seconds to Donut. It might have even been more than that. Then motocrosser Adro, he must have just narrowly avoided that crash, as we saw Donut DNF, but Kimi was caught up in it all as well. You can just see in the background of that camera what happened. And we got Rin, he's up into 5th, Furion in 6th, Babo in 7th, Jum up into 8th, Zotac, into 9th, and Kimi now still just about in the top 10, but he's probably going to have to pit for repairs. Killer B in 11th. Total Wizard, like we said, he's on those fresh hards, and it'll be interesting to see where he comes out. I would imagine people are going to pit here. The softs only maximum really of 9 laps in them from this point, maybe 10 if you really want to push them, but here you go. So we've got the likes of Donut, David, Adro going into the pits, Furion, Jum, Kimi, but motocrosser Rin, Babo and Zotax and Killer B all staying out. Now let's see just how many positions is Total Wizard going to gain. He's going to get everyone who pitted, unsurprisingly. He got that extra lap to pit with those soft tyre, with those hard tyres that he's on now. So as we see, and Total Wizard here needs to catch the safety car queue. I think we're going to see at least one more lap of the safety car here. Meanwhile, motocrosser now leads the race. You can see him there. Renault now looking very strong in terms of constructors' points. But it is motocrosser who leads. He was strong in qualifying. He's now at the front of the pack, but he hasn't pitted. Apparently the stream is still choppy. I do not know what is wrong with this, like I said. Well, while everyone's under safety car, I'll have a look at the settings, but I haven't changed anything from when I stream on Twitch, so goodness knows. It's apparently a slideshow. Excellent stuff. Well, maximum performance encoder. Let's go on encoder preset. Let's see if this helps it out. But from my end, I've changed literally nothing apart from the fact that I'm now streaming on YouTube compared to Twitch. The only difference in the stream setup. Has that made a difference at all, chat, to what you're seeing? Like 15 FPS? I have absolutely no clue what the issue could be, because my stream settings are fine in terms of Twitch, but lower the bitrate, I can try that. Let's drop the bitrate. And let's see. There we go, right, bitrate has been lowered. I dropped it by 1000 kilobits, so maybe this will provide the answer we're looking for. FPS just dies. Well, it's not the frame rate in game, because the frame rate in game is absolutely fine on my screen. So, and like I say, I stream on Twitch regularly, and everything's fine over there. That the safety car is in this lap. What is the stream looking like now? Is it any better for everyone? I've set it to max performance. I've dropped the bit rate. But here we go then. You can see everyone warming up their tyres, ready for the safety car restart. Here we go then. Motocrosser, the de facto safety car now. He will be restarting the race. You can see the safety car pulling into the pits now. And it looks like he has gone. He's ready and waiting for those green flags. Everyone behind him will be looking to take chance. As we can see, Killer B, he looks like he's got the best restart here in terms of how close he is to his nearest rival. Just half a second between him and Zotex now. Now these top 5 all still have to pit for fresher tyres in only a few laps time really, compared to the likes of Total Wizard and David, who are on very, very, very fresh hards, which should take them to the end. And David, we've seen him already be very strong around here. Meanwhile, we've got Adro, looks like he's just passed Donut in the Ferrari there. And over the front, Motocross are still in the lead, but it is David who they've got to watch out for, and Total Wizard as well in the Haas. But now David under pressure from Adro. These two both very competitive times in qualifying. Can the Mercedes stay out on top here? He's not on the soft tyres, instead he's on the hards, and it's Adro around the outside of the black Mercedes, and he's made the move, and now David under threat from the donut. Maybe the hard compound tyres weren't the decision for this evening or this particular incident. Like I said, a one-stop soft mediums is possible, but mediums probably will not last to the end here. Babo behind the Alfa Romeo of Rinrin. These two are particularly close on track right now. Is he going to be able to make a move down into turn 3? He's on the outside of the Alfa Romeo. They just about avoid contact, it seems, as they go into turn 4 now. The Ferrari, they're just behind him. It looks like we've got someone made a move down in the bottom of the field, but it looks as if the Alfa Romeo of Rinrin goes wide as they approach Sector 2 now. That's a yellow flag further down the grid. I think no one's stopped, but the only people down there are Goldie and Furious, in the Williams and the race Red Bull respectively. Babo now still in 3rd place, but his position could change either up or down. There is a good fight here going on for 2nd place in this Grand Prix. A little bit shaky on exit of turn 13 for Babo as they approach the last 2 corners. Very late on the brakes, almost running into the back of Rinrin's Alfa Romeo there. Just about avoiding contact. Very, very close between these two as DRS gets re-enabled for the race here around Albert Park. We're now on the 9th lap and Motocrosser is tearing away. Currently 2 seconds between him and Rinrin. Meanwhile, a bit further down the grid, David, he's now looking to make the pass around Total Wizard up the inside into turn 3. He's made it. Total Wizard, though, not giving up. He hangs on around the outside, up the inside into turn 4. David very, very far off the track, but he's just about come out ahead of the Haas of Furion, but he's behind the other Haas. And here we go then. That's Jum in the Alpha Tauri past Furion, and you got Kimi there as well. He's sneaking past the Alpha Tauri, who's off the track. He's going to drop a couple places. As now the Alpha Tauri of Jum just about ekes himself ahead of Kimi in that 2nd Mercedes, but it doesn't look like he's going to stay there for long. Here we go, around the outside towards turn 11. Can he get the move done? He's not going to get it here, but he will get DRS out of turn 12. You can see Larson in the 2nd AlphaTauri, and that's a yellow flag, and that's the McLaren of Donut Hole, I believe. You can see everyone going side by side here. Here's Kimi around the outside of Jum. And behind them, you've got Seabot going past Larson, the McLaren on the AlphaTauri. That's another yellow flag, and that's again donut hole in the McLaren, I do believe. He's going to drop a place, it looks like, to Furious, and that's the AlphaTauri of Jum up the inside of the McLaren of Seabok, who's got a very bad exit out of turn 12. Speaking of bad exits out of turn 12, that's the pit window open for the one-stop strategy here in terms of those who started on medians. I guess that's what the graphic is trying to inform us of. But Jim still holds on ahead of Furion and Larson. Further up, we've got Total Wizard going around the Mercedes of David. A little bit of contact between the two, but they both managed to just about hang on to the track without any damage between the two. And Motocross at the front, now 3 seconds clear of Babo, who's 1 second clear of Rinrin. He hasn't been able to rid himself of Adro though. However, the battle right now is going on back here. Total Wizard just staying ahead of David. He's on 5 lap older hards, but is he going to be able to stay there? Already we are 10 laps in to this Grand Prix around the Australian circuit that is Albert Park, and that's another yellow flag. Who is that? It looks like Motocrosser, and that was a huge piece of debris coming off of a car. What is going on? It looks like Rinrin. He's come into the pit lane. Is that for damage, or is this his scheduled pit stop? He's followed by Killer B in the Renault there. The two Ferraris, 3rd and 4th right now. Adro, 6 lap old soft. He pitted under the safety car. Whereas Zotax, 10 lap old soft. He's sitting in 4th. That's another yellow flag, but goodness knows what it's for. But back down in the long train, we've got Jumbo. He's looking at Kimi around the outside here. He's not going to make the move into turn 3, and that's a drive-through penalty. Speeding under the safety car. I didn't quite catch who that was for. But now this huge train runs all the way from 5th down to 10th, and there's the two, Furion and Larson as well. They're just hanging off the back as well there. As we look to see, is Kimi going to be able to make the move? David, sorry, going to be able to make the move on Total Wizard. We've seen these two battle it out for the last 3 or so laps. As Adro gets a 3-second time penalty, that's multiple track extension warnings. You can see David has such a lot of speed coming out of turn 12. He's got DRS as well, but he's not going to be able to get the hat. But someone who might be able to make the move is Seabok in the McLaren. Looks like he's not been able to do it. Down into turn 13. A fairly popular overtaking spot. And that's Adro and Zotax into the pit. So Zotax, no teamwork has been going on here. He is going to get double stacked in the pit lane. That's going to cost him huge amounts of time that he probably would have rather avoided. And you can see everyone here in this train going past. Kimi looks up the inside of his teammate, decides against it, doesn't want to cause any issues with the number 44. And that's Seabok into the wall as Jim comes past out of the second corner there. Not only has he lost the position to the Red Bull, but the Haas now steaming up his inside. He's going to defend around the outside, but it's not going to be enough. And the AlphaTauri of Larson, he wants a piece of the McLaren as well, but he's not going to get past around the outside, and into the back of him he goes. That's a front end plate lost on the AlphaTauri car there. Kimi still right behind his teammate. The two Mercedes really battling out. That's Jim past the AlphaTauri of Jumbo into the right-hander there. But still, the Mercedes ahead of them are going at it. And David now dropping off the back of Total Wizard a little bit. Meanwhile, up at the front, Babo has managed to catch Motocrosser. He's crushed that gap by a couple of seconds. So very impressive pace from him. Meanwhile, we see that Red Bull lurking in the background there, as well as the Racing Point. Sorry, not the AlphaTauri. Very clean through the penultimate corner. That's Motocrosser into the pit lane. Babo now 12 laps on those soft tyres. They are going to be like driving on ice for the Racing Point driver. David now hot on the heels of Total Wizard. He got a very good entrance into turn 1. Can he get a good exit out of turn 2? The DRS open, everyone's squiggling at the breaking point. That's a very big dive from Jim. He tried to get past both the Mercedes and it's not really worked in his favour, to be honest. He's letting cars by here. He knows he's made a mistake, I think. And that's David's chances of winning this race is really slimmed down now. As Kimi, the lead Mercedes, 1.5 seconds behind. The Haas, you can see at number 20, Total Wizard. He's going to be benefiting a lot from that incident. You can see here, Jum in the Alpha Tauri. He's leading Furion, who leads Jim, who leads David. He's had an unfortunate Jim, I think, just lost an end plate. Hitting the wall on this long straight. It is indeed. He's just lost that. But here we go. Here's Rinrin on the back of David. Presumably, he's caught him after that big spin. David doesn't look like he's sustained any damage, but it's not to say he hasn't got a little bit of front wing damage. It looks like Motocrosser there. He's out on the fresh mediums. He's going for the one stop, a little bit slidey into turn 13 there. He's behind Adro, who's going to be into the pits soon. There's Zotax as well. Both of them just pitted, and that's Jim. Just parks to the side, and there goes the Ferrari of Adro once again, which is a bit confusing. Maybe they were serving drive-throughs that they picked up under the VSC, and that's why they both pitted. There wasn't a double stack, which would explain why they're still so close together and still on those old tyres. But Babbo and Motocrosser has just about held the lead. Well, he didn't. Babbo did get the undercut on him, but Motocrosser now back up into... Well, this time now it's for 7th place. We saw them battling for the lead, but will their tyre strategy pay off? They're both on fresh mediums. They've got to take them to the end of this race. Whether or not that's going to be possible, yet to be seen here. It's going to be very tight up at the top. As we're going to try and see Motocrosser, he's 1.5 seconds behind Rinrin in that Alfa Romeo, who is only half a second off the back of David after his spin. The grid is now starting to thin out a little bit. We've got pockets of cars everywhere. We've got the lead 1 through 4, really. That's Total Wizard and his teammate Fury, and that's a yellow flag. And that's the Renault of Killerby, who's just DNF'd in Sector 1 there. Fingers crossed it doesn't bring out a safety car and these guys at the front can still continue racing on it. It doesn't look like it's going to cause a safety car at all. Meanwhile, now, that Renault of Motocrosser, you can see him lurking in the background, but it's Rinrin down into turn 1. Looks up the inside of the Mercedes of David, but he doesn't go for the move. But those two cars behind them, currently 7th and 8th. That's Motocrosser and Babbo. They are both going to be looking. Zotax into the pits. And here's Rinrin up the inside into turn 3. He's got the move done on David. Can he keep it into turn 4? And that's Babbo up the inside of Motocrosser. Both of these battles resulting in the position switches. Now Babbo and Motocrosser, whilst they want to be ahead of the other, they don't want to stay too far off the back of those other cars. They need to get towards the front, and it looks like Kimi on Total Wizard now approaching turns 11 and 12. That's another yellow flag, and it looks like it's the Red Bull of Furious off in Sector 1. It's not a DNF, but are we going to see a pass for the lead here? It certainly wasn't a DNF for the Red Bull. He hasn't been able to make the pass though. We're still watching Kimi in the Mercedes through the penultimate corner into the last one. He's right on the rear bumper here of Total Wizard. DRS enabled. Obviously the Haas isn't going to get such a thing being in the lead. Overtake mode enabled, and he's passed into turn 1. Can he hold it though? On exit of turn 2 he's going to get DRS as well. Down towards the run for turn 3. So now the number 77 Mercedes of Kimi leads this race 16 laps into the event. We've got Total Wizard in second. We've got Jum in the Alpha Tauri. He's in third. Furion, Total Wizard's teammate, has looking very strong on the opening weekend here. Obviously something that we are not too accustomed to hearing when it comes to Australian Grand Prix. That's Zotax into the pits in the Ferrari. He's presumably going to come in for some mediums. He's taken those soft tyres an extortionate amount of laps. Meanwhile, David and Rinrin They're fighting, and that's costing them time. It's a Babbo behind, and he's still got the Renault. They're 3 wide down into turn 11. Babbo has pulled out of it, and that's the Alfa Romeo of Rinrin. He's spun round. So now, Motocrosser and Babbo are now hunting down the Mercedes of David, who survived this time. He was the one we saw spin last time. That's Furious out of the session. He's just DNF'd in the opening of Sector 2, and that's another safety car. We're going to see Total Wizard and jump into the pits. This is the time to go for some fresh mediums, I would think, until the end of the race. Motocrosser and Babbo, though, are going to stay out. They know that they've got in terms of tyre strategy, so they will jump now back into 3rd and 4th. Total Wizard, Jum and David are all going for fresh softs. It's going to be a little bit of work to get them to the end, but maybe they'll be able to preserve them enough under safety car here to take them all towards the end. Meanwhile, down at the bottom we got Rinrin. He's into the pits for damage repairs, presumably after that spin. He's out now, so we're not going to see whether he pitted, but he is now in 9th. Unfortunately for the Alfa Romeo, it was all going so strong for him. At least the safety car is going to rebunch up this grid, but it might take a while. We might see a safety car out for 2 or 3 laps here, as we'll jump to the front of the grid now. And the Mercedes of Kimi, number 77, still leads here. Whether or not he's able to retain that lead to the end of the race, yet to be seen. About 12 laps left for the drivers here. So let's see. You can already see you've got Zotax and Goldie all the way down, almost a lap on these front cars at the moment. So the safety car, it might come in this lap. I'm not confident in that fact, but hopefully racing can resume as quickly as possible. Okay, so our current lead standings are Kimi, Furion, Babbo, Motocrosser, Total Wizard, Jum, David, Seabok, Rinrin, and Jim Wong rounds out the top 10 at the moment. We've got Adro, Donut, Larson, Zotax, and Goldie rounds out the current runners in 15th place. Then in the DNF category, we've got Furious, Kimberby, Donna and Blanc there, who have all DNF'd. So it looks like we haven't had the call that the safety car's in yet, and the Alpha Tauri of Larson hasn't even caught the end yet. Hopefully this is the last safety car we see here this evening, and we can just have close racing in what will be probably the last 10 laps of the race. You can see everyone warming up their tyres in anticipation as to whether or not it will be coming in this lap, but I think we would have had the call right now, so it looks like the safety car is going to go around one more time here this evening. It is indeed going to take another lap, and it's just the Williams of Goldie there that we're waiting on. But the safety car should definitely come in this lap, so fingers crossed we can get racing underway on lap well, it will be lap 20 as the cars cross the line to start lap 19 of the race. You can see all the drivers still trying to keep their tyres warm, but you might not necessarily want to be doing that at this stage of the lap, because obviously tyre degradation is a thing and you want to get to the end of this race. Those who will definitely get to the end of the race are probably those such as Babbo and Motocrosser, the Total Wizard, Jum and David on those fresh softs. They might struggle to get to the end. We've also got Zotax, who pitted for fresh softs as well. He is looking to be able to carve his way through the field. I'm not sure whether Larson is actually on 20 lap old softs, because that would be a rather impressive feat for the Alpha Tauri. But if that is the case, his tyres are going to be very, very, very tired by the end of this race. In fact, they can't be 20 laps old because we haven't done 20 laps. So that's definitely wrong. The timing star still has some glitches when it comes to F1 2020. Obviously the game's still fairly new, but it's unfortunate that it releases with such bugs. But there we are. Race control announces that the safety car will be in this lap. Fingers crossed everyone gets away cleanly when that start does happen. So Kimi, now our de facto safety car, he will be controlling the pace, he will control the restart, and he needs to nail it. He needs to keep Furion behind him. Those two looking in a strong position earlier in the race, but now on those old hards they had to retain the track position, they thought, but now much fresher tyres behind them, much faster tyres behind them. Will it be a waiting game to see whose tyres last till the end of the race, or is that low place going to cost them? Here we go then, around the penultimate corner. He still hasn't gone yet, has Kimi, but there he goes, and that's Furion off at the start. That's incredibly embarrassing for the Haas driver. His teammate Total Wizard looks at the Renault of Motocrosser here on the restart. It doesn't allow, cause a safety car. That's Furion into the pits now. Up the inside of the Renault goes Total Wizard, but he doesn't get the position done, and it's lucky not to, of course, a spin there. Further down we've got Rinrin and Seabok going side by side into turn 3, and Rinrin very confident under braking, just about making the corner, and he gets that position secured. That's Adro. He's past Donut Hole, who now is vulnerable to Larson in the Alpha Tauri behind. Further up the grid, we've still got a very, very tight battle for what is 4th place. Kimi in the Mercedes is almost a second clear of his nearest rival. But Jum now, he's looking at the back of Total Wizard. He's looking at the back of Motocrosser. Motocrosser was very strong in qualifying, didn't have the best start to the race, but is now back into contention. We thought maybe that Motocrosser and Babbo's strategy would have cost them at the start, but now it looks like it's performing very well for them, as we've got the Alpha Tauri of Jum just looking for a way past the Haas of Total Wizard here. Everyone, you can see Goldie at the back, hugely behind the train, and then there's even further back Fury, and he's on fresh softs after the damage he received on the safety car restart. He put it into the wall on exit of turn 11. He obviously wasn't expecting the restart then. Here we are then, everyone just sort of in a very long train right now. No overtakes to be reported into turn 3 as of yet, but there is the race of Racing Point Red Bull of Jin Wong being passed by Adro. Adro looking very quick on this restart, slightly fresher mediums than his rival there, and they look like they're paying off for him at this stage of the race. Motocrosser, a 3-second time penalty. Will penalties play a part in the results of this race at the end? But we got Jumbo here in the Alpha Tauri. He's looking at the rear of Total Wizard. All three of 4th, 5th and 6th currently on soft tyres. The fastest tyres on the track, bar Furion, who's way down at the back. So is that going to give them any advantage? It looks like Motocrosser though. He's got good pace on this restart. His medium's not looking too bad, but it really is Babbo who's going to be putting the threat to Kimi for the race win at the moment. As we understand it, penalties, we're not sure. The stream's still lagging apparently, which is not great at all. Again, apologies, I do not know what the issue there is. It's obviously something to do with the way I've got my stream set up and how YouTube works. So now, jump into turn 3. It seems like the Mercedes of David there are a little bit wide. Dirty air is definitely a thing in this game. People have said it's more prominent than in the last game, and that's definitely going to cost drivers who are in this mighty train right now. Furion sets the fastest lap, so at least he's got that under his belt. He won't score a point for it, because you only score the point if you're in the top 10. And he's only going to get into the top 10 if something absolutely catastrophic happens at the front of the grid. Meanwhile, though, that's Donut, who looks like he's had an off. He's spinning in Sector 2. Thankfully, no safety car or even a VSC to stop any racing here, but jumps still. Not only is he trying to get past Total Wizard, but he's now under threat from David. These three, like I said, very quick tyres they've got on right now. And you can see in the background there, Rinrin, Seawalk and Adro there, having a little scrap for 7th place. Babbo now, less than 2/10 behind Kimi for the lead. He's got DRS, he's got overtake enabled. Is he going to be able to get past the Mercedes here for the lead of this race around the outside of turn 3, up the inside into turn 4? He's not ahead, and he's going to stay there, but Kimi picks up a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings, so he could be at threat of losing out not only on track position but also in terms of penalties. And given how late in the race we got that safety car, penalties are going to play a factor. If you've got even one, you could lose multiple positions if you're in the wrong place at the moment. So Babbo now jumping off the back, or dropping off the back should I say, of Kimi right now. But there we are, jump now under threat. Here comes David. Let's go on board with the Mercedes. You can see the DRS wing of Jum open there, so no positions gained for David in the Mercedes. Kimi still leads this race. You can see Jum there just trying to get past Total Wizard. Oh, we're going to be able to see the move done here on anyone. Babbo now still gaining but never quite making the move on the car ahead. Again, we're not seeing any moves here, but that's Total Wizard a bit deep into the corner. Jumbo might be able to take advantage. Can he get the switch back into turn 4? It doesn't look like he can, but the fast right-hander of turn 5 might provide him a better option. Again, no moves made, and you can see Rinrin back there is 2 seconds down on David already, despite the safety car restart only happening a few laps ago. Donut Hole now our lowest qualifying or racing driver, and that's Seabok and Jim Wong into turn 10, I believe, turn 9 or 10. They're side by side, and now Jim Wong, Seabok, sorry, losing out to Zotac as they go down towards turn 11. The lead battle isn't quite as close as this, but we will hop back up to see what is going on between these guys for 4th place. The action is still fairly tight, and you can see it's still close at the front as well as we approach 5 laps left in this race. Here we go then. John, 2/10 separate him and Total Wizard, but still no way past for the Alpha Tauri. You can see him, DRS, looking around the outside into turn 3. Very, very late on the brakes for the Hassan. That's a collision between the two. A little bit sideways for the Alpha Tauri. Is that going to let David and the Mercedes past? It is indeed. You can see Adro going around the outside there of Rinrin in the Alfa Romeo. The Ferrari now out ahead of him into 7th place. Those tyres really have been working wonders for him. Not only that, he's just had the pace as well. Meanwhile, Babbo, you can see him just ahead there of the Renault of Motocrosser. He's been going fast. Donut hole 122.1. He snatches fastest lap, but again, he's not going to score the points, provided he doesn't finish in the top 10. And given that he's so far down on the top 10 right now, I think it's highly unlikely we'll see it. Especially with how few laps we've got left. Meanwhile, the lead is now going on to lap 26. We only have 3 more left after this. So here we go then. Babbo, is he going to be able to make the move? He's going to get DRS yet again on the Mercedes. Or is he biding his time, waiting for that final lap to just spring the move? Here he is, looking around the outside into turn 3. A little bit of a lock-up, a little bit of contact between him and the Mercedes there. But Kimi still holds on to the lead. And again, and that's David. He's lost a couple of positions, not only to Jumbo, but also to Adro there. The Mercedes drops back 7th place. Mercedes were on for a 1.5, but now it's on for a 1.7. And they could still lose first place if Babbo is ever able to find a way. And Adro receives a corner cutting penalty. And that's David dropping another place. The Mercedes driver really struggling on those 9-lap-old softs. And you can see Jim Wong looking for a way past as well. Behind them, Sebok has just gone past Zotac. You might see them there. You can see them coming through 10-11. And that's very sideways for the Mercedes. And he's DNF'd. And let's hope that that's not a safety car at turn 12. But it very much could be. Can they get rid of that car without needing to safety car full course caution the track? Looks like we've just got away with it, and the race continue as we approach the final 3 laps of this race. Lap 27 now. Babbo still behind Kimi. Babbo leads Motocrosser for the podium spots. Behind them, 2.6 seconds now separate Motocrosser and Total Wizard for 4th place. And Jumbo, though, he's so close behind, and that's another yellow flag. That is the Ferrari of Adro. He was so good on the restart, but here's Babbo up the inside of Kimi for the race lead. He's finally got the move. He's been looking since that safety car restart all those laps ago. He's finally got it done, and Kimi on those 22-lap-old hard might find himself under threat from the Renault of Motocrosser behind. Adro has dropped all the way down to 10th position now. All the gaps starting to form up after that spin or whatever happened to Adro further back. We missed it because we're up with this fight. We've just got a couple laps left here in tonight's race. So about 4 minutes left of racing, I imagine. So hold on to your hats, ladies and gentlemen, because we have got what is going to be a potential photo finish if the one down to the line proves long enough. That's a yellow flag in Sector 3, but the only person there is Larson. He seems to be keeping moving, so not quite sure what happened there. You can see the bottom 4 are just so spaced out. There's no battle going to be going on there. Now, here we go. Is Motocrosser now going to be able to make a move on the Mercedes, that is Kimi? Or is he going to stay exactly where he is for the time being? Kimi now clawing to try and stay on to P2. That's Zotac on Sebok. What is going on back here? The Ferrari now still in 10th place after Sebok comes back past him. There's only 1 lap left, so you've got to make your moves now or in the next lap, or it's never for these guys. Back up here now for 5th place. Jumbo and Total Wizard on these 11-lap-old softs will be starting to feel them. We've already seen Zotac drop out of this fight, and you can see Rinrin here. These 11-lap-old mediums are going to be much better, and are we going to see evidence of that in turn 13 around the outside? A little bit of a lock-up from the Haas, and that is Rinrin. He's just ahead. A little bit of contact between the two. Where is the Haas? He hasn't made it around the corner. That's a spin into the gravel for Total Wizard, and the Haas really not performing at their best towards the tail end. That we've both had unfortunate incidents. And now Adro, DRS on the McLaren ahead of him. Is he going to be able to make the move as we are now on the final lap? A corner cutting penalty for Seabrook there, 3 seconds for extending track limits. Zotac in the other Ferrari, he's looking around the outside. You can see his teammate in the background doing exactly the same. Zotac on the outside, a little bit forced wide by the Red Bull. The same's happened to his teammate. Adro looking very solid. He's just about to claw it back onto the track here. Who is going to take this win? It looks like that was an end plate from somewhere. I think it was the Alfa Romeo of Rinrin. He's still in 5th place. Jim here in 6th. It's a yellow flag in Sector 3. That's Donut in the McLaren. He's in last place. But here we go. The Red Bull of Jim 1. We're so close to the end around the outside into turn 13. He's just about made it. And the Ferrari of Zotac is coming to the back of him. But while this is all going on, very exciting stuff. We are going to see Babo claim the win here in Albert Park. Kimi comes across the line second, but he loses out to Motocrosser. He's had a very spectacular finish there. Jum picks up a podium as well. Huge collisions on the end of the track here. Rinrin, oh, the penalties are coming in thick and fast. Seabok promoted up to 5th after penalties. Total Wizard into 6th, despite finishing 10th on track, I do believe. Zotac 7th. Rinrin down in 8th now. Jim Wong 9th. Adro comes home in 10th position. Furion in the Haas is there in 11th. Larson 12th, Goldie 13th, and Donut Hole way down in 14th position. That was an unfortunate end for them here. But there we are. That is tonight's results. I'm going to have to dip just after the podium celebration, pretty much. Apologies for the leggy stream, but it has been a rather exciting race. I've got another event to attend, this time in ACC, so I'm going to have to quickly switch on over to that. Let's get through this as quickly as possible to try. It's a very tight. I mistimed this greatly, but here we are. Hopefully you all enjoyed that despite the issues the stream had. There we are. There is the podium sitters. We've got all 3 of them showering champagne. Let's go into the final standings. Babo takes the win from 9th on the grid. Motocrosser sticks in 2nd place. Jumbo in the AlphaTauri 11th to 3rd. He takes the position from Kimi, who's finished 2nd, but penalties took a huge. You can see them all on the right hand side there. Seabok 5th, Total Wizard 6th. Zotac 7th, Rinrin 8th, Jim Wong 9th, Adro finishes out the top 10, Furion, Larson, Goldie, Donut Hole, and David. No, so Donut Hole was the last finisher. David Furious, Killer B, Bach, and Blanc are the DNFs of tonight's race. That's all from me. Like I said, I've got to dip pretty quickly here. But thank you all for watching. Apologies for the stream issues. But thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch